Hey everyone, and welcome to Heart of Indie Radio. Tonight we are certainly in for a treat. That's right, we have singer-songwriter, indie pop artist, and now a dance artist, VK, all the way from New Zealand. I had a chance to chat with her in her home studio, and we are so excited to bring you this interview about all things VK, a super talented artist that has a heart of gold, and I know you are going to love her. Her brand new single, Inferno, is number 6 on the New Zealand music charts, and it's blowing up around the world. You're going to find out why. Without further ado, let's bring on VK right here on Heart of Indie Radio.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Such a pleasure to see you again.
Oh my goodness, it's lovely to see you again, and super excited about your brand new song that is, has such a buzz. It's number 6 on the New Zealand charts right now, Inferno. So I'd love for our team here at Heart of Indie Radio, all of our listeners, and of course our viewers, to be able to get to know VK and all the things that make you you. So we're just going to have a casual chat about what you've been up to, which, is hard to fit into a small space of time. And and just get to know what's going on in your world. So tell us.
Awesome. As you said, I've just recently released my new single, Inferno, which is actually the title track of my debut album, called Inferno also. And I kind of, releasing dance music in the middle of a pandemic is one of those classic things that I do. It's like, oh, let's do something. Oh, wait, hang on, here we go. It's like the last time we talked, as you said just before this, we catch up about how I was talking about virus, and then, oh no, next minute. And so I think it's sort of, the world has a very interesting and introspective way of kind of giving people what they may not need may not think that they need at that particular time. And I think that despite my concerns with releasing a dance record in the middle of a pandemic, I think, if people can't go to the club, they can put on their underwear and get a hairbrush and, sing into the hairbrush microphone in front of the mirror, and just sort of kind of create that sort of escapism even in their home, like away from put their phone down, put their computer away. I think we're just so consumed by the media at the moment that I don't know about you, but I'm almost like fearful to turn on the news sometimes. And music's sort of been a huge savior in itself, both writing music and also listening to my favorite artists during this horrible time, really, for everybody, and for different reasons. But I completely recognize the privilege and the luck that New Zealanders have had in the last year. I feel like we're almost a year behind sort of everybody else. We right now are sort of experiencing, I think, the scary and the thick of it. But prior to that, since I released Fine Line, since I released Virus, I had the opportunity to do a lot of shows and do a lot of tours and connect with fans and connect with the most unlikely people, even maybe not even necessarily music related. But I think that this country just has so many beautiful and kind people, specifically, in the very small towns that have like 100 people, which is crazy. But yeah, so that in itself I'm very grateful for. But I think it's okay to have to rethink a strategy in times like this, and that includes mental health as well. Calling your friends and your family and your whānau more than you probably would, just to make sure that people don't feel as isolated as they otherwise would have without that contact. So yeah. But the record in itself, the single in itself, is sort of, I guess, in a way, talks about the sort of isolation that we have had, like pixels, always leave a trace, IOU in lowercase, like sort of the idea that we are connected by pixels and the data that we put online, which never goes away, even if we delete it. And it's sort of like, I owe you a catch up, like I owe you a coffee, I owe you just see you in person and give you a hug. And the idea that sort of like, when it is safe to do so and when we can dance safely together, the heat of like, the summer, hopefully we still have one, fingers and toes crossed. The heat of the summer and the warmth and the love that you have for your friends and for your whānau is sort of supersedes any other remorseful feelings, maybe bittersweet feelings, maybe anxieties that you may have been experiencing for many months going forward. And I think so many of us, because we're so connected by the pixels, we are more privy to and more aware of what is happening overseas. Even if we don't get it in the news, you've got live feeds on TikTok and Instagram and all those other, I know it's not news websites, but in a way it sort of kind of is, really. Like, just because it's not from a journalist doesn't mean your friend talking about, like, I don't know, something happening in Melbourne doesn't make it any less real. It just sort of depends on who is getting what sort of information at what particular time. I hope that answers your question.
No, definitely. And I think that you've made some amazing points. First of all, I want to congratulate you from my heart to yours about the success of this record. But also, I feel like you have been on this amazing journey over the last year and a bit, where you've opened up your heart. You've created amazing music. You have been able to connect with people all over New Zealand when you've done your tours. And, it's really, really neat to see someone that I adore so much to have, you've just blossomed as an artist. And I think it's really nice for our listeners and our viewers to be able to, have this time with you and to hear about Inferno, which is out now. And it is an awesome, the whole thing is just amazing. And it does make you happy. It does make you want to dance. And I think that that's something that is really special to be able to give people when it's sort of an interesting time. It's not easy. So I'd like to know where we can find the song, and also if there's an upcoming sort of announcement that you'd like us to be the people that break. Woohoo!
Yes, actually, there literally is.
Really?
So yeah, like literally as of this morning, and that is no word of a lie. I really mean that. So you can listen to Inferno on iTunes, on Amazon, Deezer, Tidal, Spotify, YouTube, my Instagram. I'm sort of quote unquote getting hip with trying to work out how TikTok works, but I don't think there's any sort of way that it works. I just think it's question mark, that emoji, and it's like, that's kind of how I feel about how it works. But look, it's a good fun time. But all of the good streaming sort of websites. Inferno, the album itself, the plan was to release it in December, but I kind of feel like the world needs this music now, like as soon as possible, and everything's finished. So I'm going to actually bring the album forward a month and release it in November instead.
Yay!
So surprise, everyone thinks it's releasing in December. It's gonna be November now. So that's I'm very lucky that I have a really good relationship with my distributor, but it's sort of like, I think in particular New Zealanders, which is where my my live audience sort of comes from at this moment in time. I sadly can't travel. I don't think anyone can travel for the foreseeable future. I just want to give people like a taste of summer, even though we may not. I don't want to be like depressing. Like, I'm fingers are toes crossed. It's going to be okay. We're going to be fine. But I don't want the original release plan to go, which was the idea was to release it just before the festival season, take the album on festival season tour. But it's like we probably need a sort of sense of relief prior to that. And I think there's been this, and this is no. I love Taylor Swift. I love Lorde. I love Billy. I love that everyone is doing this acoustic thing at the moment. I think it's really special, and I think it's really cool to see that come back into into mainstream music. I think particularly in like the 2010s, it was this sort of obsession with like really heavily produced music, which doesn't. It's not a bad thing either, but I think that stuff's kind of sad, in its own self. And I've had enough of crying for a year. I'd like to just have some light-hearted vibes, just where people can not think about sad stuff for like half an hour.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so great about this song, and I think about the album coming out sooner rather than later, and celebrating the good times. I think it's really important to stay positive. We've talked about this before, and I just want to give a shout out to VK. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight on Heart of Indie Radio. And please follow VK on all social media platforms. Give her your support. If you could just tell us where we can find you, that would be amazing.
Sure. So my handle is really easy. It's at VIKAE music everywhere. Both on not both. There's so many social medias now. Got Facebook. We've got Instagram, TikTok. As I said, I'm trying to get hip. This is me. I feel like a bit of a millennial right now, but that my students, I teach students singing, and they're always like, Miss, that's not how you do a TikTok. Okay, which we're trying. We are trying.
Nice.
But in terms of my music itself, you can search in VIKAE into Google or into Hula. I don't know what else other people use.
Right.
But that's my artist name, and that's what should, in theory, pop up when you search me up.
Awesome. Well, that's fantastic, and I know that our listeners will be DMing us tonight after the show airs, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and from everyone here at Heart of Indie Radio, for being the person that you are. You're awesome, and I'm so proud of you. So lots of love, and we're going to be playing your song shortly, Inferno. So stay tuned, folks. We're going to get back to the music right here on Heart of Indie Radio.